Yeah, and we're back.
Awesome. Okay,
Um,
well, yeah, I'll start it off. So, let us convene with the Socrates prayer. All I know is that I know nothing. Yeah.
that's good. That's nice.
Good. Good.
Let's uh, let's open every episode like that now. I think that's
Awesome.
good. So, hi YouTube. Um, I I am always I as always am post-Socratic fool.
You
Um,
got there in the end.
yeah, yeah. Um, you two want to introduce yourselves or?
Okay.
I don't one.
Okay. I am Jaysocrates from Tumblr, and I'm a philosophy weirdo, just like you guys.
I resent that, but okay.
And I'm an ontological idiot in the same regards.
Yeah. So basically, this is the guy who stole my name, who took my really unique
Oh
idea.
my god! What is no, no? I'm not having this anymore. That was my name, all right?
Yeah. So basically, I
you
started
no, no, no! You
with
stole
post-Socratic
from me.
fool,
You
and
stole my life
took
essence. You don't
he
understand.
just took it, and I really
Yeah.
resent that a little. But you know what? I'll give it to him. It's fine. I don't really mind that much. I'll be the bigger man here. You know.
You know,
Wow.
you know what? One day,
So, Jay Socrates, how's it
Yeah.
going?
Um, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have perfect knowledge of the universe, so I don't know. That's how we started this episode, you know.
Yeah, that is how we start this episode. That's very interesting. That's a very interesting start. What are we going to talk about on this episode?
Um, I think the idea was that I would rant a little on morality,
Oh, that sounds good. I like it.
on not well, not necessarily morality, but I would say just ethics.
All right, cool.
Okay.
and could you qualify the distinction between the two?
So, well, it's not necessarily how I make the distinction, but after having read um, a little. I shouldn't say I've actually read all of it, but after having read Nietzsche and a lot of commentators on Nietzsche, um, and sort of delved into how he thought about things, I think the distinction really starts with him between morality and ethics, especially when it comes to sort of his definition of morality, or at least how he uses the term in with the connotations that he does, mostly meaning morality is just a system of codes, almost like assertions of either divine coercion or social coercion to try to modify human behavior to some end, or well, actually, not even to an end. They're just uh, flat assertions like "don't lie," "don't steal," stuff like that. There is no justification for those things. They're just asserted um, by either the group or some representative of the divine that isn't actually there. Uh, that's at least that to my that's my understanding. That's my interpretation of a lot of how Nietzsche uses the term morality or morals. Um, yeah, and of course it's opposed to ethics, which is of course trying to build justifications and not necessarily give specific instances of moral action, but trying to give justification for moral actions in general, and what makes things moral, and trying to build a system of to determine what you would find moral or immoral. Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the distinction in my mind, and it comes from uh, my reading of Nietzsche, and I think it really starts with him. There are a lot of thinkers who don't necessarily define it that way, and will just say morality and just say ethics, and just sort of assume that everybody makes that distinction. Uh, I would like it if more people opened the discussion with that sort of distinction, because I think that's what they actually mean. Whether or not, so once again, I don't even think that a lot of people think about that distinction. Like, it's not a well-defined thing for most people, but it is how they view it, nevertheless.
Good stuff. This ontological idiot here. He doesn't like Nietzsche. He's not a fan. Oh
He's
yeah.
not a fan. Yeah. Well, there's
No.
there's some things to not be a fan of, and there's other things to be a fan of.
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion. Once again, I don't know. I don't know.
Unlike Plato, where there are some things to not
So, yeah,
be a
Plato.
fan, and that's it.
Yeah, Plato, which is just universal, mostly bullshit.
Yeah.
Except for the method. The method is amazing, and the method, of course, is what you use to destroy Plato. You
like destroying Plato, do you?
oh yeah, yeah,
Oh.
it's a thing. It's a thing. The mic is turned off, but you don't know what's going on in here. You don't know about I have a copy of the Republic that is stained multiple times.
Oh, that's great. That's
as I do.
every now and then we just set fire to the Republic,
Yep,
just for fun.
just for fun. Well, we don't burn it completely because completely destroy a book or whatever. It's just that we light a little corner of the front cover every time. Again, just book burning in general. By the way, just in case nobody gets the joke, it is quite abhorrent. Book burning is a horrible, horrible practice.
Well, that is our opinion, but yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
would you like to begin your ethical rant then?
Well, before I do that, you said something just before the podcast that you don't believe in morality,
No.
and I wanted to know if you made the similar distinction that I believe started with Nietzsche. Do you make that?
Well, no, for me, morality, ethics, I don't really believe them because I believe in determinism personally. So for me, I believe in determinism. I believe in that as much as I believe in reality. I believe because I'm a skeptic, which is a lot of fun. So as much as I believe that reality is the way that we perceive it, I believe in determinism. I think that I just mean that in the way that, as far as I can see, in our universe, there's no way for determinism to not be correct. But that's just my way of perceiving things, because as I see it, you're born with certain DNA and everything, which can affect your personality, and then you're raised in ways that you can't decide, which affect your personality, and events happen to you in your life, which affect your personality, and you don't decide any of these things that happen to you in your life, and then every decision you make is based on your personality, but your personality itself is not something that you have made any decision in shaping. So that's just my take on determinism, and I am, due to my belief in determinism, I don't really think that we can judge people morally, because obviously if people don't have control over their actions, I don't think you can really judge them.
Well, do you not think, given that people don't have control over judging them, they don't have control over then morally judging, as it were, the determined issue, because they were determined to do so anyway?
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm not saying it's wrong.
So
to
you are
judge
saying
people.
something when you're talking about morality. You are giving meaning to that.
Well,
I think you can go to a meta level, and this whether or not you believe people are morally culpable is a separate issue, but between whether you or not you think that a certain action is morally justified or not, or is morally unjustified, or is immoral.
Right.
Like regardless of whether or not you
Yeah.
how do I say? Whether or not you
suppose.
think people are morally are responsible, or whether
Right.
you
So,
believe someone virtuous or disgusting because of their moral actions, whether or not you think that it's actually up to them, doesn't mean that you don't have opinions on what is better or worse for human beings in general.
No, yeah, I suppose that I can view certain actions as, I guess, unhelpful towards humans thriving, I guess. But I don't view people. I don't. If somebody does something which negatively affects humans, I can't view that action as being a negative action because they like I said, I don't believe they have control over it.
But you can still think that it's a bad thing.
I suppose.
Not that they're like some sort of So we're both very much in agreement that no type of libertarian magic free will exists. That people are the author of their own actions and personalities and wills and desires and other crazy beliefs like that. I don't believe that either. I don't believe that people are solely culpable for what happened. So I'm a compatibilist. I happen to think that determinism and free will is the concepts are compatible.
Right.
That's why. I personally believe that when you say free will, what you're pointing at in reality, you're pointing to the ability of a brain, a human brain. We could generalize that to other creatures that may or may not exist in the universe, but humans. Let's just start with humans.
Yeah. Keep it simple.
Yeah. You start with a brain that is able to perceive reality, and it can come to decisions on the basis of its beliefs. I think that's all you need. It's just and so where its beliefs come from, and whether or not they're justified, and whether or not they are always able to act in accordance with those beliefs at any given moment, and what determines how that being will react given its beliefs doesn't matter, because I believe that what you're pointing to when you say free will is here's a being that has a perception of the reality that is around it, an ability to act in accordance with its beliefs in that reality which it perceives, and it will act in accordance with its beliefs and desires.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Ontological idiot. Then, would you like to? What do you believe in regards to free will? Then, seeing as we're on the topic.
In regards to free will, it's a tricky issue. I'm leaning towards hard determinism. I definitely say that, but the kind of soft determinism that Jaysocrates is proposing, or compatibilism as he called it, is also rather compelling. I mean, with either one, you've just destroyed existentialism and the kind of 20th century French thought.
Yeah, it's sad. I like existentialism, but it's
I would say I am an absurdist, at least to the degree to which I'm an existentialist or something. Well, when you say that I don't believe in libertarian free will, I think you're saying that there's the tension between me and Sartre when he says that man creates what he is, that sort of thing.
When I say you destroy existentialism.
Yeah. You're
yeah.
It's me against
I
Sartre.
am.
Okay. Yeah. Unlike most scholars of the topic, I don't think that Sartre speaks for all existentialists. Well, whatever, I think people.
Well, we could quote Camus, like, is it you must become rebellious in your freedom, or whatever.
Well,
I don't know what he says in The Stranger.
I think Camus' concept of rebellion and liberty are totally, once again, are totally fine.
I think his concept of books and long essays are totally mixed up.
Books and long.
you need prior experience to know that joke, but anyway.
So, to those 5 people out there that got it, you're welcome.
Yep.
I guess. To everyone else, that joke was basically a big middle finger to you. And we're sorry, but it was kind of worth it. I don't know. I'm not one of the people that got it, so I wouldn't know.
Or whatever. It's the argument. The arguments matter. We don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that ethics matters because I'm, once again, I do believe that free will is a foundation for the conversation is the foundation of the ethical discussion, is the degree to which it's basically free will, in my opinion, is the metaphysics that has to lead up to whether or not you are or how you start the ethics question.
Right. Yeah.
It's the metaphysical question that you have to sort of answer before you can make any sort of sense on the ethics question.
Do you think you can believe in that? You can not believe in free will and believe entirely in morality and moral responsibility? You think that's possible?
So, in a way, I think that in a way, I think that even the hard determinist can still have a concept of morality, or at least I don't think that a hard determinist will disagree with me much on ethics. They might say that my attitude going into it is maybe a little different. I don't think any of my conclusions are necessarily something that a hard determinist would disagree with.
Right.
I don't know. Well, you are a hard determinist, so let's see. Or maybe I don't know. Maybe I can convince you by the end of this thing that you can.
Okay. Well, yeah. We'll find out. Anything could happen. That's what's exciting.
Anything. All of our beliefs could change.
Well, I mean, not anything, but
that which the laws of physics ordain.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Anything after you've taken the leap of faith.
More or less, just about ish.
I am convinced that you can believe anything after you've taken a leap of faith, because once you take the first one, you can take a million others in hundreds of different directions. Leaps of faith are not justified. Yay. I just want to say that on something.
Okay, we've just disproved you. Moving on.
Of course, you can't really make a choice to make a leap of faith because all of your choices are just predetermined anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
How many people are going to listen to this and just think we're just going to suck our own dicks the entire podcast?
A good percentage, I'd assume.
Most, yeah.
And they're right. So moving on to discussing the exact same thing.
Okay,
Determinism for the win.
So I think that because once again, like I said, even if you're a hard determinist, you could still say that some actions are better for human beings or less good or actually harmful to human beings, and you could say that it would. Yeah. I think that it's.
I mostly agree with that. I think really, even if I
and you could have a deterministic view of moral responsibility too. This human did this thing, and because of their beliefs and because of their how they're predetermined, quote unquote, how they are determined to work, they are in some sense dangerous and are likely to do more of those harmful actions in the future. And therefore, it can be justified to. Well, that's actually more of a political question, but it could be justified to, remove them from society or try to, or attempt to rehabilitate them or get them possibly some treatment for their mental health issues.
Yeah.
You could still say. I think that once again, I don't think that any hard determinist can actually disagree with at least that conception of moral responsibility.
Yeah. See, I've thought about it quite a bit. I think even if I wasn't a hard determinist, I probably would still not really believe in moral responsibility. Personally, I think I'd probably subscribe to the boo hurrah theory. I think there's a proper name for that theory, but
could you describe that? I don't think.
AJA.
It's theory by
emotivism. I think is
that's the name. Yes.
Okay.
If I paid more attention, I probably would have remembered that. Yes. It's the theory by A.J. Ayer, that basically, if you say an action is bad, like murder's bad, all you're really saying is, I don't like murder. Murder's a thing that I don't like, and that's it. Really, it's not. Saying that that an action is immoral is just really stating your opinion on the action, and it doesn't make it true.
So I would agree with Ayer that that's a good descriptive theory about how human beings think about moral judgments. I think that that's true in the descriptive sense. That I think that's how many human beings do think about morals. I don't like this, therefore it shouldn't exist. I think that happens with human beings a lot. But,
Yeah.
oh wow, we lost Jack.
Oh joy! This is a fun part of the episode. Last
Yeah.
time it was just me talking for about half an hour. Luckily I've got you here, so I'm not alone. Oh, and he's back. Is he properly back?
What?
Jack? You there? You there, ontological idiot?
I don't even. What is there?
You know, this is the biggest problem I think probably in any philosophical debate or anything. You just can't ask a simple question, really, can you, without getting a really, really annoying answer?
Well, you know,
in any continental debate.
It would have been a simple question if you would just define your goddamn terms.
Oh my god!
Really?
Are you in the call? Are you in this call properly? Which we now know the answer to anyway, so...
Are you defining your reference term as
Shut the fuck up!
reality?
Oh! I will kill... I know where you live, alright? Don't forget that.
I have an ocean protecting me.
Yeah, he's safe. Jaysocrates is safe. You're not. Then again, your living conditions are more confusing than Shutter Island, so we don't actually know. But, you know,
no one knows.
A vague idea. That's an inside joke that the two of us will
is in a
possibly one of the
quantum plot.
Oh yes, that's true.
Okay. Ethics.
Are you back at uni? This isn't a conversation for the podcast, but you're back at uni now, aren't you?
Yeah,
or are you...
yeah, I am right now.
Okay, well then I definitely don't know where you live. I know the area, but the area is a big area, and that's not helpful to me. Okay,
so you're not really going to kill me.
No.
Stop thinking about it, please.
You can't choose to stop thinking about that.
That's true. I can't because I'm predetermined to think about that anyway. It's pointless.
Yeah. Okay.
Moving on.
Yep. I feel like that should be the title of this episode. Moving on.
Moving on. That's a good one. I like it. Remind me of that.
Or actually, like, moving on ethics. Yeah. That might be good. Okay. So, me ranting. So, yeah. I should have made notes. I thought I did. Okay, whatever. So, basically, I think that when you are talking about what is moral, or what is morally justified, what is a morally justified action, or what is immoral, what is an immoral situation, whatever. I think that you are at bottom talking about the well-being of conscious thinking creatures, conscious living, thinking, feeling creatures. I think that that's a pretty good starting point, because because if it isn't about the well-being of conscious creatures, I don't know what you're talking about. Sam Harris famously said that even if you believe in an afterlife and you think that an infinity of heaven is still a better thing than an eternity of hell, then you're still thinking about the well-being of a conscious thinking, feeling creature, just a esoteric, unjustified belief in some creature like that, a creature that obviously does not exist. Or I should amend that and say that we have no justification for believing that they exist.
Before a load of people get angry at us and start sending us death threats.
So, I think that's my starting point, and I think that I think that's a relatively justified starting point, because and so let me justify my starting point. The reason I care about the well-being of conscious, living, thinking, feeling creatures is that I am one. I think that's at least a good starting point. I care about my own well-being. I'm reasonably educated in what my well-being consists of, in what are the I've come to reasonable conclusions about what makes my well-being tick. In other words, what goes into it, under what conditions is it sustained, under what conditions is it violated, etc. I'm also reasonably educated on another fact, which is that I'm not the only one. I am not the only one of this kind in the reality that I inhabit.
So you're
brains
straight
and
out
bats.
denying solipsism.
Solipsism, brains in bats.
Okay. Do we want to actually take a detour into the solipsis?
We could, if you like. I mean,
Okay.
the
Well,
whole
really
the whole
quick.
realms of philosophy are open to us. Isn't that great?
Just,
Real quick, then.
Wittgenstein's private language argued. Moving on.
Oh wow, you just hate our audience, don't you? I mean, if anyone doesn't know what that is, they're just fucked. You don't like people listening to this show. That's the answer, isn't it?
No response.
You don't like people.
You don't like people. That's it. You're one of those people who hates people.
Okay.
There are loads of people.
Oh my. I can't deal with you. I just can't. I don't know. Moving on.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Moving
No.
back.
Well, no. Let's have Jaysocrates.
Okay. So real quick on the solipsis thing. I am I am plunked into my consciousness with a perception of reality. Even if the reality that I perceive is not some ultimate reality, I currently can't I don't have any evidence or way of investigating any other reality. I have to more or less pragmatically deal with the reality that I experience. So even if it's not the ultimate reality, even if this is just the cave wall, I don't care. I'm still dealing with it every day, and I am pretty sure that it just doesn't matter to me. It has to do with whether or not I have been given no reason in my investigations of the reality that I perceive to think that it is dependent upon anything else. So pragmatically, I had to deal with it, and until I am given any rational justification to believe that there is something beyond it, and until I'm given some method of investigating into it, it's just an open question. I don't know, but I know that I can't deal with it, and I do have to deal with the reality that I perceive.
But do you have to accept that reality as truth, and do you also have to accept that you're even perceiving anything?
Well, what? Well, I am perceiving.
Are you?
So wait. Actually, are you asking me whether or not in my conscious experience are there perceptions, or are you asking because in my conscious experience I am definitely sure that there are perceptions, where they're coming from, whether they're coming from me or something.
I'm asking if you think that you think, and therefore that you are.
Oh well, yes.
Yes.
I mean, I am what I am. I mean, that's what I am by definition. I am the thoughts and feelings that are occurring within the conscious experience. I am the set of all of the things that happen in my conscious experience.
So you agree with you agree with the Descartes man on that subject, then, do you?
I think I'm sort of an in-between between Rene and David, Mr. Descartes and Mr. Hume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I side more with Nietzsche on this subject. I agree with his criticism that I don't actually know if it was Nietzsche who said it originally, but I agree with the criticism that he's being seduced by grammar, possibly, and that the only reason you say that you must exist because you're thinking is because, as far as you know, in your grammar, there needs to be something that thinks in order. You explain this better than me, ontological idiot. You.
Maybe I can
it's
say.
kind of a circular. Yeah. Oh no, if you'd like to, yeah.
Oh well, you think that it's circular, so I'm just assuming that for thoughts to exist, there must be a thing to think them. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like he says, I think, therefore I am. You've assumed I in the premise. So when you say therefore I am, you're not getting anything new.
I'm good with that.
But it's kind of the linguistic flaw that you say there is thinking. You don't say I am thinking. Well, you do say I am thinking, which is the flaw. Well, it should just be thinking.
So let me just put it, because Descartes is known for doing this, defining things into existence. He's sort of famous for it, actually. So I'll try to avoid his trap, if you believe that trap exists in the statement. I think therefore I am. I think that statement actually. So to me, that statement really means my thoughts are who I am.
Right.
So that's what that means to me. I am the set of all the thoughts and feelings, beliefs and desires that occur within this conscious experience. I am the set of this conscious experience. Well, that at least that's how I view it.
Yeah.
Well, I
guess Nietzsche would say to that.
Okay,
you're going. All right, no, you can go.
No. If you want to go, then go.
Look, no, you want to go, then.
I will go. All right. Yes. Okay. So yeah, I view it more as I've completely forgotten what I was going to say because you talked over me. You see, that's the problem here. I view it more as him saying, I know that I exist because I'm thinking. That's the only thing that proves my existence is the fact that I'm thinking, and thinking, you need to exist in order to think. But the problem that I have with that is I don't see why there needs to be something that exists in order for thought to occur. I don't know.
I can argue this from a neuroscientific. So we have investigated the cause of these thoughts in this conscious experience, and we know that it's what is happening is that all of these sort of sense perceptions and internal processing that the brain does is then collected and sort of served up as a headline. So how should I say it? So yeah, the gist of all of the underlying processing and sort of unconscious processing of data that your brain is going through, processing and actually creation of data, I should say, that your brain does is actually served up and sort of brought together as a summary, and that gets served up into your conscious experience, and we know that happens in the frontal lobe of our brains. We happen to know that's the way it is.
Yes, but however, I'm a skeptic, which means that I could just be an arsehole and say I don't believe that any of that even happened. It's possible that everything, all of those tests that were run and everything were just an illusion and therefore bullshit.
Okay. Well.
Just to be clear, I don't believe necessarily that that's true. I believe that it's possible that it's true. I just believe that everything that I mean, even if we have evidence for all of these things, that doesn't mean it's completely true. And that stuff. I don't believe. I'm not saying that I think that we definitely don't exist or anything like that. I'm saying it's just possible. It's just a possibility.
Obviously. So I would say I would say it like this because I am also a skeptic. I don't know to what degree your skepticism varies from mine, but it just so happens that we have investigated these things and they haven't. We have searched for and set up different methods of investigation that we are pretty sure would tell us if it was false, and we have yet to disprove them. Right. So that's the fallibilism model, and So as David Hume says, the wise man proportions his belief to the evidence, and I have no evidence that all of this is some sort of illusion. And I have I have some reasonable evidence that it isn't, and I have some reasonable evidence of how that illusion works, even if it is an illusion.
Yeah. So it just makes more sense to sort of accept that it's probably not an illusion, And
Yeah.
even if it is, just get on with it. Really, like it's just let the illusion function. Well, what was it you were wanting to say, ontological idiot?
You think I can? You look.
Moving
you come
on.
here. You interrupt me.
Let's
steal my name, and then you expect me to remember.
I do. Yeah, it's a tall order, but one that I expect you to meet. And if you can't, then I guess you're just not the man I believed you to be.
Were you believing things without evidence?
I suppose I was, and that's my flaw. I guess that's something I'll have to work on. Moving on.
Fool, you really are. Yeah.
You get. Low blow.
It was kind of against myself as well. So.
Yeah.
We all secretly want to be sitting with Socrates during his trial.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I just have to quick digression. I have to say, I'll just ask because I have a sneaking suspicion. I don't that the majority of philosophers are against capital punishment simply because of Socrates. That Socrates convinced them that capital punishment is not justified.
You sound like you really want to say something there.
Do I?
But you sound like it. I don't know. I'm not you. I don't know what you want, but it sounds like you're something's trying to get out.
Why didn't you start? What?
Oh no, please, and by all means, after you. I mean, I went first last time. It's only fair.
Yeah. I also have a sneaking suspicion that Plato thought everyone was an idiot after Socrates. I try not.
No. Plato thought everybody was an idiot after him. Excuse you. Plato thought everybody was an idiot after him.
And he was.
No. No.
And fade off into silence. I never met him. I never met the bloke. He might have been right.
Well, no, I think I was against capital punishment before the trial, before the last days of Socrates.
Oh, you were against capital punishment before that happened. Is that what you're saying? You're saying back in
what was it? No, deterministically, I was against it before the universe.
So back in like
you're gonna cause an effect.
Back in like 900 BC, you were like, yeah, I think capital punishment is it's not good. It's not good. I'm gonna go out on a whim and say that now in 1000 BC.
Also, side note, ontological idiot did bring up that the biggest problem for hard determinists, which is the fact that even hard determinists aren't fully justified in their understanding of causation. Just wanted to bring that up, but back to capital punishment.
What? How did we get onto capital punishment? We really got off track.
I sidetracked it because I'll take any excuse to talk about Socrates.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, why wouldn't you? That's fair enough. Should we get back on track, or are we going to say I don't know.
Let's actually get back on track.
Okay, moving on.
So ethics. So actually no, that was a sidetrack to a sidetrack because we started with ethics. You brought up solipsism, then we sidetracked to Socrates and capital punishment even more.
And before that, we sidetracked to Descartes. And
there's of course Descartes.
That
was part of the solipsis.
Yeah. Still a lot of sidetracking.
Yeah. So back to this. By the way, maybe another foundation to the whole of my ethical stance or whatever is it's a sort of skeptic argument for how we should at least maybe one foundation morally and it's this that basically every belief it seems so we have looked into this and I'm not 100% certain because certainty doesn't exist in my view that So every belief that a person has is likely to affect every other belief that that person has or is likely to have in the future. And the set of all of our beliefs inform our actions, and our actions have pragmatic and moral consequences. Therefore, it's in our best interest, practically and ethically, to try and believe as many true things and as few false things as possible. And you need both parts of that. If you want to believe as many true things as possible, you'll believe everything. If you want to believe as few false things as possible, you'll believe nothing. You need both of those to try and believe as many justified things as possible. So yeah, so I think maybe one of the first things that I really care about is that beliefs, believing true things and not believing false things, is the first step in trying to correctly assess the universe and therefore to act morally within it. So I'm going to get to a point where this will be in a few minutes when I'm going to try to discuss how I believe and what I think about human beings actually coming to those beliefs about other human beings and about morality. Because I think that any ethical theory that doesn't involve how human beings come to moral knowledge or how we construct it or how we, how we get to it in the first place, I think that those are incomplete. If you don't have some sort of account for how human beings think about this stuff in the first place, I don't think that's a complete ethical theory. So I'll get to that in a second. But back to what I originally said with well-being and how I try to. So yeah, we got really derailed with the solar system.
Well, we're back on track now. Let's yep. Stay there.
Let's try and stay there. So I think that it's all about well-being. It's all about the well-being of conscious, thinking, feeling creatures. So yeah, back to my statement of why I believe that that is justified. That that's what it's about, what morality and what ethics is about. I should say ethics, not morality. We just made that distinction.
Yes.
Well, not just. We've been here for like a long time.
I think. I don't know. Is there any way to check? Probably, but I don't know. So
yeah.
We've been here for a while.
All I know is that I know nothing. So yeah. I start with the fact that I am one such creature that I just described. I'm able to think and feel and desire and reason and have conscious experience and feel pain and feel pleasure, and for that matter, not very much pleasure. I'll admit that.
As little as possible.
I'm not an ascetic, but I'm sure I'm living like one. So I am one such of these creatures, and I have known through what investigation of the universe I've been able to accomplish in my lifetime. Well, I should say less my investigation, but my investigation of others, of the investigations of others, I should say. A lot of this has been a lot of everything that I know, and certainly most people, especially people who would be listening to this, is standing on the shoulders of giants. I didn't come up with most of what I'm saying. I've just sort of collected it. But yeah, so I recognize in reality that I'm not the only creature like this. I'm not the only thing in the universe that acts and behaves like this. And what was that in the background?
It does.
I think ontological idiot should have muted mic more often.
Maybe.
But seeing as he hasn't,
let's trudge on.
Yeah, I guess.
So
I can mute him. That's a good thing. I'll mute him for a couple of seconds.
Yep, we can do that.
There we go.
So as I was saying, I think that the ability. So the proper definition of the word empathy is the recognition of others being like yourself and being like yourself in a morally significant way. And this is the moral significance that I'm talking about. Other people are able. There are other creatures in the universe that are able to feel pain and pleasure and can think and can reason and can feel and desire whatnot. And that's what I believe empathy is. And I think that we have an actual understanding of where that comes from. There are these things in the brain called mirror neurons, which is cool, that literally mirror the experience of others. And I think that once again, the data from mirror neurons are collected and reasoned through, and you can come to sort of a meta understanding of just your single empathetic experiences, and you can abstract them up to cover all creatures. So you understand yourself, you can understand a singular other, you can understand it in general, in other words.
Sure.
So
I'll just pause you for a second. Let's see if ontological idiot is ready to come back to.
Okay. Let's see.
Can I unmute him? Oh, yeah. Have I just muted him forever? I really hope not. That'd be problematic.
That would be problematic. Can he unmute himself?
I hope so. You just keep talking. I'll figure a way. I'll figure out a way to unscrew this up.
What's happening?
Oh, there we go. Hello.
He's back. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you hear any of that?
I muted you so that we wouldn't hear any of the background noise that was going on because we were hearing a bit.
Oh, right, yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna continue. Empathy. So that's the basis. So I think that empathy and reasoning through your empathetic experience is how you get to the understanding that the well-being of creatures that are like you, including yourself, is what ethics is all about. It's about determining how to maximize that, I don't actually believe in maximizing. I'll get to that in a second. So I would say it like this. My moral system then is based on the fact that recognizing this and reasoning through it, we come to the understanding that from that we have to. So I believe that there are no moral things. There is no moral action necessarily, but I do believe that there is immoral action. And another way to say that is that I don't believe for human beings there is a right way to live. I do believe there are wrong ways to live. I don't necessarily think that there are any right actions. I do believe that there are wrong actions. So this is. I'll put it this way. I don't believe that if I saw some woman struggling with some bags in a grocery store, that I am morally obligated to help her with those bags. I think it would be maybe a nice thing. Just, make someone's day a little nicer. I don't believe it's a moral thing. If someone's about to be shot and I'm in a position to tackle the gunman, I believe that I'm morally obligated to tackle the gunman.
Right.
So I'll put it like this. So I believe that. So one way of phrasing is that there are no moral things. There are only immoral things. Another way to phrase that is the only moral thing is to oppose the immoral. That's how I phrase it.
Okay.
So I don't necessarily think that maximizing the well-being of human beings is the goal, because part of the empathy is to recognize also not only how similar you are, but also the differences. So I recognize that I might like to read George Orwell, for example. There are other people who, God forbid, but it's quite horrifying to think about it. But there are some people who like to read Ayn Rand. I'm terrified at the truth of the statement, but it is nevertheless true.
Another joke for the small crowd of people who understand that.
Okay, everybody should hate Ayn Rand. I'm going to put that out there, and we're going to get all the hate messages.
Everyone should. Are you saying that it's
No, I'll actually put that as a moral statement because I do believe that belief in Ayn Rand's system leads to immoral actions. So yes, I do believe
fine.
it's immoral to agree with Ayn Rand. I believe
Okay.
that Ayn Rand's system is immoral. I'll put it like that. So yes, no, yeah, you should hate Ayn Rand.
Wow, you'd screw. Well, we weren't going to tell you this, but I mean, 90% of the people who listen to this actually love him. This is kind of awkward.
Ayn Rand. People
Yeah.
are really Randians. We have
Yeah.
objectivists.
Yeah, we get like, I don't know, like how many would you say, ontological idiot? Like 13 messages a day telling us to talk more about him, really, you know?
Her. Ayn Rand.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I don't know it.
I
I don't know who she is.
Wow.
I'm in the larger group that doesn't understand a lot of your jokes. So
Okay. Well, let's move
that was embarrassing.
So, okay, well, picking it back up. So I understand that I don't say I, but anybody could come to the understanding that no two human beings should live the same life. They're different people. So I intrinsically, you can intrinsically recognize, it's an intrinsic part of having empathy to recognize human beings on two levels. On their status as thinking, feeling, experiencing creatures, which make them just like you, and also not just like you in that sense, but also like you in the species sense. You share so much DNA with another person, and the conditions under which the biological processes that sustain you and make up you as the cloud of atoms that your DNA is arranging. Are so very similar. So once again, the statement still holds true that if human beings were dogs, we'd all be the same breed. We're that similar. We're that inbred, actually. And there's interesting stories about how that's genetically true. But I am by training a biologist, so I can't not inflect that into my philosophy. So yeah, you recognize the similarities and what makes you similar to others. But also a intrinsic part of empathy is recognizing what makes you different from other people and what makes all people different, what makes them individuals. So I have a term that I use for this, although I hate labels. Although the term is individual humanism. It's where the only ethically correct way of understanding a human being, and the only way you'll ever get to correct moral truths, in my view, is to view people on the dual levels of human and individual. Those are the two levels that I think are significant, and so that's sort of the precursor. So does all that make sense? Any comments so far?
Yeah. Yeah. You gonna say anything here, ontological idiot?
What what was said before? What am I replying to?
What happened in the last like 20 minutes is
Ontological idiot has actually heard my ethics before, so he should know. So do you have any comments on
your peaks and troughs kind of?
I haven't actually gotten to that. I'll state it like this. So also in relation to Sam Harris's comments on well-being and this view of maybe of a science of morality, in other words, that there are peaks and troughs in the moral landscape. There are ways to move towards the heights of human well-being, and there are ways to move towards the troughs. So another way of stating that the only immoral thing is to oppose the immoral is that I think that the only immoral thing is to get out of troughs, but not necessarily to climb to peaks. I don't think that it's necessary to like, how should I say it? That we should plug people into experience machines, like in the Matrix, and we should just give people happiness because we know that that's how neurons work, and we should just create these neural firings. I'm against that for another reason, because I'm also in general against drug use, mostly because I believe that the only... Yeah, okay, let me put it like... Because
I'm against taking the red pill. I don't do pills.
That is not the same. That would
Would
be.
have been a lot shorter film.
Yeah, that would have been. I wonder if anyone's ever done that as a drug campaign, just like the 5-minute Matrix. It's just like you take the red pill. No, you take the blue pill. You wake up. This was all a dream. You take the red pill and go deeper down the rabbit hole. Actually, Morpheus, that sounds like drug abuse. And I'm very much opposed to that. I think I'm gonna leave. You really don't want to be pressured into something I don't want to do. So.
Within the context of the Matrix, actually, I would say that taking the red pill is the moral thing to do. So I would say, well, not necessarily the moral thing, but I would say the.
Would you? Well, Ontological Idiot would disagree with you on that, actually.
So I would say that your thoughts and beliefs are only really matter insofar as they comport with reality. So,
right.
So, yeah, that's maybe a more personal statement. But okay, moving on with the ethics. So not necessarily moving people towards peaks, or moving us as a collective towards peaks, but I would say opposing the troughs, opposing the low points on the spectrum of morality, the moral landscape, as Sam Harris's thought experiment goes. So this is the end. So the point that I actually care about, or the point that I think is actually sort of semi-unique to me, I'm still searching for the philosopher who came up with this before me, because I am 100% sure I did not make this up. Someone must have articulated something very similar before me.
Well, you never know.
So my thought on this is that is how human beings come to this in the first place, or how do human beings acquire this moral knowledge. And so as I said before, it really all comes down to empathy. So I think that the rest of it, the thinking about thinking about the well-being of others and trying to oppose the troughs, I think that all of that is more or less innate once you have the empathy down. I think that more or less can happen because humans, as we have also investigated in this universe, we also are social beings. The empathy drive within us is innate. The ability to apprehend the thoughts and feelings of others in relation to yourself and in relation to others as a whole is innate to us. I think that there are some problems with the initial wiring because it's very mob-oriented. In other words, it's very sort of group coercive. That's why I think that you have to view humanity as a whole and then as individuals, because then you transcend the group mentality in both ways by viewing people as individuals, and then by making them a group of one, and then abstracting up to the group of all. That's how I think that it's better. That's how I think you transcend the mob mentality. But how do human beings get to the empathy portion, which I think is a very important aspect of trying to justify and to go forward with ethics. And my belief is that human beings undergo in their life two different processes by which they go through empathy building experiences and empathy destroying experiences. I believe that human beings are put into experiences such as maybe simply just working a job that they've never worked before, or watching a movie about people in another country, or actually meeting a person in a different country, living abroad, or watching protests on TV. All of these experiences, in one way or another, and there's many, many more that I can talk about, but all of these disparate experiences all come under the category of empathy building because in some way or some form they inform the viewer or the individual. They inform the individual about the experience of others, and they get them to sort of jar those mirror neurons into effect in some way or another, and those experiences build up your empathy. They build up your ability to actually view other human beings as real human beings, because Homo sapiens has a real problem with not viewing other members of that species as actual members of that species. We tend the dual problems of objectification and mystification. We're going to dehumanize you because you're just trash and you're dirt and you're poor or lazy or black or a woman, and we don't have to care about you. That's the sort of bad end. And then the equally bad, but just sort of weirder thing, you're a mystic, you're rich, you're a celebrity, you're a straight white man, you're perfect. You've done all these things, you're a man of God or a man of faith. You do all of these magical things that we are told are important, or you've or in other words, or you're a member of the set of people that I'm attracted to, and you change my life, and I think that you're just the most wonderful thing in the world, and you can do no wrong, and it's okay if you hit me a few times. That's totally fine because you're so magical and perfect, and you keep me from seeing my friends, and I'm not allowed to leave the house or anything like that. But you're awesome. You can see the bad.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. So the dual problems of objectification and mystification, I think, are only made better by empathy-building experiences. And I think empathy-building experiences personalize suffering. They make you really try to understand the experiences of others. And they are able to give you a window into worlds that you don't have to experience this. Because, once again, Hume taught us that we live our lives by inference and induction. And we're really, really good at it. And it works almost all of the time. It works so well that we over-trust it. And we get into these habits of mind that are very hard to get out of. And I think empathy-building experiences bring you out of that. They're how you can really interact with others on a conceptual level, and to really change your views on whole swaths of humanity. And I think that once that empathy is built up, it's a natural progression to make you a more moral person. On the other hand, there are empathy-destroying experiences. They're experiences that make you think of that exacerbate objectification and mystification. They exacerbate you thinking of other people as perfect or beyond reproach, or or an idea that you can't criticize, like, say, the Prophet Muhammad or Jesus or Zeus. I think that these people are infallible, or Yahweh or Allah. These people are beyond criticism, or the Pope, more realistic character. So these people are infallible, they're beyond critique, or that these people are dirt. These people look at me. So humans are, we're also very prone to confirmation bias. So if you have, as a little child, your father tells you, hey, black people are evil, stay away from them. If your father tells you that, and you maybe have seen black people and you weren't afraid or anything, but now you're primed. So now confirmation bias sets in, and a black person looks at you weird in a store while you're just walking around, and you remember that, and you don't remember all the other times that a black person may have picked something up that you dropped and handed it to you, or have just not done anything bad to you, or you've had a conversation with. You'll remember all the hits and forget the misses. And so confirmation bias really sets in with, I think, a lot of empathy-destroying experiences. Credulity really does. The ability to be unreflective, as human beings so naturally are, to not question our innate assumptions and beliefs about reality. I think that is very empathy-destroying, and keeps the objectification and the mystification going. So I think that, so another thing, so a meta-ethical position of mine is that recognizing that this is how human beings, so going back to like the emotivism thing, that human beings sort of, we just have an emotion and we feel that this is bad, therefore we're morally against it. I think that to some extent that's sort of true, but I think if you want to talk about what I think about, especially what I believe is morally justified, or a justified ethical position, it would be this: that it, to some extent, is true, but how do you get around that? And I think how you get around that is it's not only meta-ethical, it's sort of political almost, in the sense that I actively think that society should be set up, that society should be structured in such a way to encourage empathy building and discourage empathy destroying experiences. I think that the way that you actually change people's minds. So we have some science to show that specifically with say the atheism topic in America, fairly maligned group of human beings, and sorry, excuse me, I don't have any water. Been talking for a little while.
Forgiven. Well, you did borderline just ruin the whole podcast, but whatever. It's fine. Fine.
So, in America, atheists, pretty maligned minority, and so they've done studies on what actually will change someone's mind about whether or not atheists are evil or something, and what is more likely to change people's minds in the long run about atheism. What is the most effective way for an atheist to proselytize, in other words? And it's actually surprising. So, well, not actually surprising if you had any practical experience with human beings, but the data suggests that theists won't change their minds if they meet an atheist and they're just presented with some arguments, or they're presented with some refutations of their own arguments. That won't do it at all. In fact, that's more likely to strengthen opinions. The long term, in the long term, what actually will change someone's mind is if you change their social surroundings. If you can get them to be friends with more atheists, or if you could, like, say they work with an atheist and they're an okay person, and they just see this person not cheating and stealing and destroying the fabric of society. The same thing goes actually with homosexuality. If you get someone to be friends with some homosexuals, that's much more effective at changing their view of homosexuals than if they were just to hear an argument, or if they were just told, hey, they're just not that different from people, they're just people who love differently. Or actually, my favorite quote on this is that homosexuality is not just a form of sex, it's a form of love, and it deserves our respect on that basis alone.
Right.
So if I presented that little aphorism to someone, that would barely scratch the surface. But if I got them to know a gay person and have to sort of kind of deal with them on a semi-regular basis, that is much more likely to change their minds. So yeah. I see this. So once again, because of my ideological bent of what I'm preaching here, I see this as sort of confirmation of the social nature of how human beings come to ethical conclusions. I see this as evidence of empathy-building experiences and empathy-destroying experiences. So on the empathy building, having to deal with someone and getting to know them kind of really triggers those mirror neurons. Really gets you to deal with someone pragmatically and socially. On the empathy-destroying side, you hear an argument, you desperately want it to not be true, so you entrench yourself deeper and you go and look for counter-arguments, and you just try to defend yourself against the cognitive dissonance of not currently being able to defend yourself against that argument that someone presented to you, which is logical and actually does refute you. So that encourages you to go deeper into the confirmation bias and go deeper into the objectification to protect yourself against an argument for a belief that you've had for a long time. So I think I have some science behind me. Some. Not much. I think there should be. I would really like it if some psychologists were to test this aspect. So I'm giving it forward as sort of my conjecture of what I believe is my hypothesis for the best explanation of the evidence so far, and I would say I'd look forward to certain people testing it further, because I'm pretty convinced that this is the case. I'd be open to changing my mind on it if I was provided with other evidence. So that's sort of my whole spiel on ethics. I hope I bored enough people.
Well, I hope you entertained some people too. There may be a few. We'll have to wait and see. Anything you want to add? Ontological
Who's
idea?
you?
Yeah, well,
Oh, right.
there are three of us here, so should be able to work it out.
Yeah, you could have been talking to Jaysocrates again, because you just spoke.
Well, whatever. Anything you want to add, ontological idiot?
Can you just repeat everything you said, John?
Okay, so that wraps up our episode for today.
No, because I want to hear what you guys like. So it was just my long spiel. I wanted to know if do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have some misgivings?
Okay. Well, sure. I'll give my 2 cents on this sort of subject, I suppose. At least what I understood about it is some of it is fairly confusing, but yes. With regards to the whole empathy building experience of being, well, not being forced, but being in a situation where you have to interact with people who share a differing opinion to you, and then maybe being swayed to this opinion. I find it interesting that it's sort of a, I don't know, some people may call it corruption of a belief, saying that if I don't know, it's hard to describe, but like if I was
corruption of a belief because you were, presented with an aspect of reality that you were previously not privy to. I would hope that that's so that's what I believe it is. You're being presented with an aspect of reality that you were hereto not privy to, and you're either going to change your beliefs based on reality, or at least you'll change your implicit beliefs based on reality. I think that's the psychological truth. I think that there is some psychological truth to that.
Right. Would you say that it's what do you think would be more effective at changing people's minds in this respect if they knew beforehand, before knowing this person, that this person was like, okay, say if they're a homophobic person, that they made friends with a person who were attached to them, they very much like this person, and then found out they are homosexual? Or do you think it would be more useful for the person to know that they're homosexual right off the bat and be privy to that information straight away, and then come to like them later? What do you think is more useful in that regard?
So I think that both are interesting. I don't. So I believe that they're both manifestations of basically the same phenomena, but just in a slightly different way. I'm not sure which would be most effective. I don't know. I don't have any data on how that works. But I do know that both work. So I think so. My intuition on the matter, which is completely unjustified at this point, but I'm going to give it anyway, it would be that the first method of slowly getting to know someone, going in knowing they're homosexual. I have my intuition is that is more likely to actually sway someone's opinion.
Yeah.
However, as an argument for the other side of suddenly understanding that someone is homosexual, I do know that. So this actually happened with friends of mine. I have a friend who is bisexual, and he had. So we both have this mutual friend acquaintance kind of now. Well, we used to have this friend. Used to be much closer, and he was very homophobic, just very, very anti-gay. Very, very fucked up by his life and his belief. Yeah, makes me sad thinking about it actually. And they were best friends, and they were best friends for a long, long time. Ever since they were very young, like junior high, and they and my bisexual
and for those of
friend
us who live in England, what year would that
be? What year would that? So for me, it's they're. So ever since probably they were like 7. Ever since they were 7 years old, I would say that. Very old.
Thanks for clearing that up, because junior high for us can mean anything between 5 and 30. So,
It's a weird.
Yeah, narrows it down.
Narrows it down. As long as it's not an infinite, section, then you pretty much pin it down.
It's somewhere in that vague area, but that vague area is not that big, so
Yep. as long as it's a finite area, it's pretty nailed down, mathematically speaking. Either way, so they knew. So my bisexual friend came to the realization that he was bisexual, and took him a long time to sort of come out about it. By the way, I'm not going to claim anything, but it was around the time that I convinced him. So it was around the time that he found out that I was an atheist, and we were having these discussions on religion and whatnot. And that I got him to laugh at some jokes about his own religion that made him really, silently think. He didn't want to talk to me because he thought that I would be sort of harsher with him than he knew that I would be. He's now since sort of talked to me about how the sort of double think works. And it was around that time that he was sort of questioning his religious beliefs that he also sort of questioned his own sexuality. And within about a year, he came to be more open about it. And he was sort of terrified at telling my other homophobic friend. And it was more or less that I wasn't there when it happened, but I was sort of around when it happened. And all I know is that my homophobic friend was more or less in denial about it for a little while. And it was more like sort of that. So once again, that huge shock of an empathy experience happening instantaneously. I don't think that human beings really change their minds. Instantaneously. I think that everything's sort of a process when it comes to our accepting something as true or not true. And so with that shock, there's a big challenge of whether or not they're just going to say in that moment just to defend their belief. Like the cognitive dissonance is so strong that they go with some instant radical reaction to the news, and that therefore they reject the friend. Like, well, now we can't be friends. And because, so once again, it's not necessarily that they want that. It's just that the cognitive dissonance in that moment might be so strong that it will only be overcome by an extreme reaction. And after that extreme reaction has been made, then it is a psychological fact that human beings will go back and rationalize that reaction, and that they'll stick to it even if they don't really feel that way. But now that they've declared themselves to be that way, they'll stick by it, and they won't change. So I see more danger in that move. But then again, at the same time, I must also say that Zach, I shouldn't say his name, he's my sort of homophobic friend. He has changed a lot since then.
Right.
And he's come to the more realization, and they're still, once again, they're not good friends that much anymore, but they're still friendly. And and that moment, he didn't reject my bisexual friend.
Right. Yeah, because my thinking, I was thinking along those lines that if you go into a relationship thinking you know something about a person and then have that challenged and find out that something about this person that you yourself are opposed to, that can be sort of quite a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
And perhaps it would be better to do things the other way around with knowing everything about the person before the relationship forms. But then you also face the problem that maybe they'll always be sort of holding back in that relationship because they know this thing about that person which they don't like.
So I have this belief that you should never enter a relationship with any expectation that you should go into every relationship with the expectation that that person is going to be exactly the way they currently are for the rest of their lives. You should never go in with any expectations that this person might change, and that they might change in a way that you would like. So you could go in. I mean, obviously, it's just a true statement that human beings change over time, and our personalities shift, and we're constantly exposed to new things, and well, at least lucky people are exposed to new things, and that they have the ability to change. And we know this, but you should never go in with any expectation of that. You should go in feeling pretty open and okay with the fact that this person, because it's just a truth that they might stay exactly the way they are for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Going in with some sort of expectation of change is poisonous.
Yeah.
It's just bad.
So I'm going to ask you the horrible question again, ontological idiot. Anything you want to add, or just are you still there?
Actually, no, yeah, there actually
Oh,
is.
yay.
Talking about kind of integration of diversity in your life. There's this really great parable called the Polygon Parable.
Okay.
It's kind of interactive. I will post it on Tumblr. I've reblogged it before. It's amazing, and it shows it highlights the necessity of diversity and seeking diversity as well, so that you can remove all your own prejudices and your internalized biases that you subconsciously have and you don't realize. But I think one of the great things is that we're able to do that in modern society. We're able to expand our own ideas of what is acceptable, and we're able to remove our own confirmation bias. And I think if anyone's willing to try, like your friend was, then that's a good thing. And being put in these situations, we can develop. I had a point when I first started talking. I lost it a while ago, but honestly,
I think
the Polygon Parable is one of the best things ever.
We should post that in the description. We'll post it.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know how. I can't technology, but if
I
could...
can-ish. I can post a link in the description. That's really not a big ask.
Well, I don't know what is and what isn't nowadays.
Well, basically, you see on your keyboard, there's Control C and Control V. Basically, it's more or less as simple as that, really. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't actually know the shortcuts off by heart.
Well,
some of us still have to look them up.
Control A. So one of the funniest things is, for a long time, I didn't know that Control A was select all, and that has changed my life ever since I learned that.
Oh, I have a friend who recently found out that Control F is to search for things, and he's
oh my god!
I don't know how I'd have lived to this point without that knowledge.
I have no idea. Just searching Wikipedia articles.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know how he's alive. Oh my god.
Oh wow. Oh my god. Wow.
How are you at university? Control F.
That's brilliant.
Oh my god.
You're lying to me.
I do. Everyone who's watching this episode who doesn't know that. Control F lets you search through things.
That is so useful. Wow. Oh my god.
That's a game changer.
All the uses.
So, searching PDFs for answers to questions on a worksheet is the most important thing in the world.
Yeah. Honestly, the worst thing that ever happened to me in my philosophy classes was when my teacher or somebody else would send me photocopied book pages or something, and I'd be like, I can't Control F this. It's the worst thing ever. It's
wow.
So it has limitations. It's not like an omnipotent searcher.
Yep. Can't search every quantum state in the universe.
Can't search for 95% of the observable universe.
Yeah.
How sad.
Okay, so should we end?
Physicists aren't doing it. Someone has to.
Yes, that's a good place to end.
I mean, should we end on the other version of a Socrates closing, maybe?
Oh yes, of course. All right.
Okay.
That's
Everybody?
Platonic bullshit, and you know it.
Yeah. That's better than what I was thinking. Let's end it with that, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Everybody, this was all Platonic bullshit.
No. What were you thinking?
Oh God. Okay. Yeah, we're done.
All right, yeah, that
Okay.
just etc. and stuff. So yes, thank you for listening to our episode 3,
Is
titled.
there really 3?
Yes,
It
it's
is
3.
only 3.
Wow.
Episode 3 entitled "Moving On," which is something we maybe should have done a couple more times over the course of this podcast, but we got there in the end. We got there
Wait,
after,
yeah.
I think, probably about an hour. I'm not sure.
It's been like an hour and a half.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's not bad. That's good. That's cool. So yeah, thanks for watching. I've been Post-Socratic Fool.
I've been Jaysocrates.
And I will continue to be Ontological Idiot.
You have to be different, don't you? You've been dead weight most of
Yeah.
it. Though. That's what you.
He
No
likes to
offense.
listen. He likes. He's like people who just like to watch.
Yeah, he's a good listener, which is it's someone we definitely need.
I'm here just in case you need someone to talk to your problems about. And
No, actually, you know what? You're not even a good listener, because I think twice over the course of this podcast you've said, "Can you repeat the last thing that you've been talking about for the last 20 minutes?"
Okay, well, I was actually writing and editing an essay during this podcast. Next time will hopefully be more lucrative for my own discussion.
Yep.
Well, let's that's something to look forward to. That's a little teaser for our next episode. He might be more involved next time.
What's gonna happen as well next time? Does anyone know?
We have no certainty.
And when's it going to be as well? Does anyone know?
Does time even exist?
We're going to have the symposium tomorrow, aren't we?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's going to be a fun little. Oh yeah, we should link that
tomorrow?
too. It is tomorrow.
It is tomorrow.
Yeah.
Gosh.
We're going to have a little fun thing that we're not going to post to YouTube, but it's just going to be a fun thing between Tumblr philosophy friends.
Yeah. And I guess on that we can possibly discuss maybe the next episode.
Yeah.
You know what we're going to do, which will be fun. And I guess we'll update you wonderful people who are listening with
No one has listened this far, and you know it.
Yeah. Well, at least this time there wasn't a massive time with just one person talking. Thanks, buddy.
Yep. Yeah.
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 So,
you're welcome, friend.
I think we both owe a thanks to Jaysocrates for being here. Thanks a lot.
Yes.
You're totally
Come
welcome.
again. We need you.
Yes. Quite obviously, we need you. We're shambles at the moment. So yes, this has been fun. We've been wrapping this up for about the past 10 minutes. That's everything, I guess. That's all. That's it. Yeah.
Yep. Peace.
Yeah. Peace out. I don't say that, but
Yeah.
peace out.